What's up, Guardians, and welcome back, Warlocks. I'm Profane. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we'll be checking out a build that's unlike any Warlock build that you've ever used before. We'll be taking all the great benefits provided by the Prismatic Subclass, and we'll be pairing that up with the Wings of Sacred Dawn, along with the Manticore Exotic SMG. This exotic combination provides Warlocks with unique gameplay opportunities that will improve your damage output, your survivability, and the survivability of teammates. The Wings of Sacred Dawn comes with Tomb of Dawn intrinsic trait, which gives you a special combat maneuver. When you jump into the air and aim down sights, you'll continue to levitate. You'll remain in the air for just under 3 seconds, but by landing additional hits onto targets, you'll extend the duration of the time that you can remain in the air for as much as 7 seconds. With this mechanic, you can fully engage enemies as if you were on the ground, which can be a tremendous advantage in a lot of situations, especially since there's no cooldown between activating this ability. When you're up in the air, engaged with enemies, you'll gain a 15% bonus in damage resistance. So if you have tier 10 resilience, then this will be stacked on top of the 30% resistance that you already have. The bonus damage resistance is in addition to a 25% bonus to flinch resistance, which will make it a lot easier to land accurate shots. Since this exotic provides a passive benefit of plus 50 airborne efficiency, you'll find it remarkably easy to land consecutive precision shots, so with the added flinch resistance, you'll be incredibly accurate even when in the air. The benefits of using this exotic can be situational, but it can be extremely viable in several activities, including the final boss encounter of the newest dungeon, Vesper's Host, where this exotic combination can keep you elevated and out of harm's way from all of those anomaly charges. This can also be extremely beneficial when facing up against aggressive enemies, like Cabal gladiators, since you'll be able to get out of their range as soon as you jump in the air. When you're levitating up in the air, enemies do seem to be more drawn to you, which is where the bonus flinch and damage resistance really help out. But this can also take a lot of focus off of your teammates, allowing them to flank those distracted enemies without putting themselves into danger. An additional benefit in running this exotic is that when you are in the air, landing a final blow will fully reload any solar weapon. So if we were to be running a heavy grenade launcher like the Marcelian Sea or the Cry Mutiny, we would never have to worry about manually reloading those weapons. The aerial supremacy doesn't stop with the Wings of Sacred Dawn, because the Manticore adds some of its own unique benefits. This exotic SMG comes with a Soaring Fang and Swooping Talons intrinsic trait. This is a lightweight frame SMG, so it has improved handling and you'll move faster when it's equipped. When your feet are on the ground, landing hits with this weapon will build up the anti-grav repulsors charge, and you'll be able to see that on the bottom left of your screen. Each hit with the Manticore will add on 1.5% of the overall charge, with every final blow adding in 10%. Once you've built up enough energy, you can jump up into the air and activate the Manticore's unique hover mode. Enemies are going to be less accurate when you are in this hover mode, and this fully negates any airborne weapon penalties. So with the improved airborne efficiency that the Wings of Sacred Dawn provide, the Manticore is going to be extremely precise. You'll remain in this hover mode for 3 seconds, but by landing consecutive hits with the Manticore, you'll extend that up to 6 seconds. And as you land consecutive shots, you'll build up a bonus in damage that maxes out at 100%. If timed out correctly, you can go from the Manticore's Sentry mode to the Tomb of Dawn's Levitate mode to be able to extend how long you're able to stay up in the air. And to do this, you would just need to not aim down sights whenever using the Manticore whenever you first jump into the air. Hold off on aiming down sights until the hover mode is done with. With its catalyst unlocked, you'll gain the equivalent of subsistence whenever using the Manticore in the air. That includes the Manticore's hover mode and the Tomb of Dawn's levitation. Final blows while in the air will also generate a Void Overshield, providing you with 15 points of health along with a 70% bonus in damage resistance, and that's going to stack on top of the bonus resistance provided by Wings of Sacred Dawn. When you are in the Manticore's hover mode, you'll gain that additional ammo refill and the bonus overshield after landing 5 consecutive hits, which means you'd be able to build your overshield up to 100 points. So with these two exotics combined, we'll be able to maximize our time in the air, give ourselves incredible accuracy, bonus damage, damage resistance, flinch resistance, and overshields on demand. It does require some slight adjustments to your current way of playing, but those are substantial benefits that you'll gain. And because of the Prismatic Subclass, we'll be able to amplify the performance of both of these exotics. We start with the fact that we can use Song of Flame to cover our requirements for the Wings of Sacred Dawn. Song of Flame is a roaming super that gives us a massive bonus in damage resistance, so it's going to work out great towards our focus of striking enemies from mid-air. When we're up in the air, we want to have a quick way of getting back down to the ground, and that's exactly what Phoenix Dive does for us. We'll be focusing a lot of our ability regeneration around Phoenix Dive, and that's why we've chosen to go with Weaver's Call and Hellion Buddies as our prismatic aspects. Both of these are going to play off of our class ability use, with Weaver's Call generating strained threadlings that will seek out and apply bonus damage against enemies, and Hellion generating our Solar Buddy, which will strike enemies with scorching projectiles that can quickly trigger ignitions. We've chosen not to go with Feed the Void on this build because we are receiving the benefits of Devour from the Power from Pain artifact mod. This is going to trigger that Devour whenever we rapidly defeat weakened enemies. When Devour is active, we'll gain bonus grenade energy and bonus health off of each final blow, which would come in handy whenever we're up in the air. Having improved grenade uptime will help us weaken more targets, since we are using vortex grenades along with the Facet of Dominance. This will apply weakening effects to any enemy that comes into contact with one of our grenades, causing those enemies to take 15% extra damage from any source. When it comes to the rest of our fragments, we have Facet of Dawn equipped, which will provide us with Radiance after striking enemies with our powered melee. When Radiance is active, our weapons will have a 25% bonus in damage, which would stack on top of the bonus damage that the Manticore will already generate. To trigger that Radiance, we are using Arcane Needles, since we will have up to 3 charges. Arcane Needles will unravel targets, and since it offers the most range of any melee option, it's the best choice to pair with the Wings of Sacred Dawn. Since unraveling counts as a darkness debuff, we are making use of the Facet of Courage, which will increase all of our light-based ability damage by 10% against any enemy who's severed, unraveled, suspended, slowed, or frozen. Facet of Courage would take on an even bigger impact if we were to incorporate stasis weapons that come with Chill Clip or Headstone. This way we could play off of some of the stasis themed artifact mods, like Hail the Storm. Strained weapons with Slice would also come in handy to reduce your target's damage output by 40%. The unfortunate side of that is that strained energies haven't been getting much love lately in terms of activity modifiers. With Phoenix Dive creating threadlings, Hellion Buddies, giving us health back, and providing us a way to get back down to the ground, we are using the Facet of Hope. When we have an elemental buff active, we're going to gain a 60% increase to the regeneration rate of our class ability. Since this includes Radiance and Devour, we should be able to maintain that bonus energy for as long as we're engaged in combat. Even though we will have a way to distance ourselves from enemies, we are using Facet of Protection, which will increase our damage resistance by 15% whenever we are surrounded by enemies. And that will be increased to 32% whenever we are in our Transcendence. So between the Wings of Sacred Dawn, the Manticore, and Facet of Protection, we'll be taking a lot less damage from enemies. The last fragment that we're using is Facet of Purpose, which is going to trigger Restoration whenever we pick up an orb. When Restoration is active, our health will continuously regenerate. We might have Devour providing us with extra health, but that's only after we've defeated weakened enemies, so having Restoration active will help ensure our survival. But if you find your durability is good enough, then I would recommend to replace Facet of Purpose with Facet of Bravery. This way your void weapons like the Manticore would gain volatile rounds after defeating enemies with your grenade. When it comes to artifact mods, the main ones that we want to focus on are Power from Pain, Supernova, and Debilitating Wave. Supernova and Debilitating Wave give us more options to trigger weakening effects, which gives us more opportunities to trigger Devour. If we are using stasis weapons that come with Chill Clip and Headstone, we may want to consider using the Conductive Cosmic Crystal mod, which would grant our Vortex grenades with a 5% bonus in damage against enemies who are slowed and frozen. The Manticore may be the crown jewel of this build, but there are several others that would fit in nicely. Legendary weapons that come with high ground would greatly improve our overall damage output, but to trigger that bonus in damage, we would need to be on the ground first. Weapons with air trigger would reap the benefit of bonus reload speed whenever we are in the air, and weapons with strategist would allow us to activate our Phoenix Dive more often, while weapons with demolitionist would allow us to have our grenade more often. As far as alternate options to the Manticore, the Eyes of Tomorrow would make a great option. An exotic rocket launcher that refunds ammo whenever defeating at least 4 enemies with a single volley. But this build really revolves around the synergy between the Wings of Sacred Dawn and the Manticore, so we'd lose out on a lot of benefits if not using the Manticore. With weapons, class tree, and artifact mods now covered, the only thing left to talk about with this build is our armor and armor mods. As we mentioned earlier, Tier 10 Resilience provides 30% reduced damage, which will be a must-have for in-game content. With Recovery dictating our class ability energy, it would be smart to dedicate quite a bit into Recovery to be able to ensure that we have our Phoenix Dive as often as possible. To the same extent, Discipline will be a great stat to focus towards, as it'll improve the uptime of our grenade charge, which is going to let us weaken more enemies. When it comes to armor mods, our main goal is to create orbs and provide ourselves with as much class ability energy as we can. We can provide ourselves with extra energy by using mods like Insulation, Bolstering Detonation, and Distribution. If we're using Facet of Purpose, we need orbs to generate Restoration, but also to activate weapon surge mods. By using 2 Void Surge mods, we'll be able to give Manticore and any other Void weapon a 17% increase in damage, which will stack on top of Radiance, the weakening debuffs, and the bonus damage that Manticore gives itself. You might not find the Wings of Sacred Dawn to be the most powerful build in an activity like Grandmaster Nightfalls, but you'll find a lot of situations where the improved air maneuverability is really going to come in handy. So if you haven't checked out the Manticore with the Wings of Sacred Dawn, then it's about damn time you do so, because this is unlike any Warlock build you've ever used. With that said, I wish you all the best of luck out there. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you need help putting together this build, be sure to check out my Mobalytics link that's down in the description. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.